Hello, I'm Matthew Farrell, and welcome to Enigmatica 2 Expert. This is a magic and tech-focused mod pack that I've been wanting to get into for quite some time now. But before I get into it, I would just like to remind you all to subscribe. I'm a relatively new channel, and it helps a lot. And I know that this shilling is a little annoying, and you hear it in every YouTuber, but I just need subscribers. I'm small. But anyway, the first thing I did is what everyone else does when getting into a new world. Mine some wood and make wooden stuff. After figuring out how Vein Miner works, I made all the tinker stations and all the tools that I needed. And then I stole a nearby furnace, which allowed me to make my first chest. And now to work on the smeltery. This is a pivotal multi-block, which will allow me to upgrade my tools and get past the Stone Age of this pack. Thankfully, this pack has ex nihilo, so I don't really have to hunt for sediments. So after I did all the ex nihilo stuff and gathering I needed for the grout, the smeltery was complete, allowing me to harvest more ores. So I went through tool progression quickly. I started out by putting clay into the smeltery to make a temporary cast, which I used to make a copper pickaxe head, which I used to mine Certus quartz, which I made a pickaxe head out of, to get iron and gold, which I used to make a permanent pickaxe head cast alongside an iron pickaxe head. After I got my iron pickaxe, I decided to make my base look more like an actual base. So I mined out a little more trees and I beautified it a little. Now that I have my house project squared away, I decided to go back into the mines and gather some lead and other ores. I used the lead to upgrade my pickaxe and then mined some osmium to upgrade my pickaxe again. After that, I decided I wanted to work on upgrading my smeltery, but to do so, I will need a ton of cobblestone, which means I will need a ton of lava. So I crafted the forge hammer from IC2 and made my first plates for an iron bucket, so I could bring lava into my smeltery without having to craft multiple clay buckets. After all of this grinding, I finally doubled the capacity of the smeltery and smelted the 2 osmium I needed for the pickaxe head. And now that I have a pickaxe that can mine every overworld ore, I don't really feel like upgrading it more. So I gathered some redstone to give it efficiency and continued mining. With this resource scarcity squared away, I decided it was time to get some basic tech out of the way. Out of all of the tech mods, the one I decided to start with was Industrial Craft 2. I have some experience with this mod, so I think it's a great one to start off with. However, I didn't account for the fact that it takes half a stack of iron to make 4 machine casings. This sucks, but I decided I wanted to start with IC2, so making those casings I go. I realized pretty quickly that I needed rubber, but I did not have a single rubber tree nearby. So I went out and searched and explored for what felt like an eternity, but I did end up eventually finding a rubber tree, which I brought back home. After I planted my rubber saplings, I decided to work on immersive engineering and create a coke oven. The coke oven recipe calls for 4 bricks, 1 sandstone, and 4 porcelain. This porcelain is crafted with 1 clay and 1 bone meal per porcelain. I don't have a single bone to my name since I'm playing this on peaceful, but I did remember where a massive above ground fossil was. So I went to the fossil and all my bone meal needs and worries were alleviated. With this newfound infinite bone meal, I was able to create my first coke oven and get into immersive engineering. The second multi-block I made was an alloy kiln because it was relatively cheap, and I'm going to need a ton of bronze and other alloys later. But to make my next important multi-block, the blast furnace, I will have to go to the nether and also turn off peaceful mode in order to get some blaze powder. Now, the way I actually got the blaze powder by switching game modes is arguably cheating. However, I arguably do not really care. So now that I have my totally legitimately sourced blaze rods, I can now create the blast furnace with 4 nether brick, 4 normal brick, and 1 blaze powder for 3 blast bricks, which means I need about 36 bricks, 36 nether bricks, 9 blaze powder to get up the thing. All of which I produced and now have a blast furnace. With my source of steel now completed, I decided to get back to work on IC2. By now, the rubber trees I planted have grown, so I crafted a tree tap and extracted sticky resin, which I put into a furnace to get my first batch of rubber. After that was done smelting, I flattened out an area near my house for a spot where I'm going to put the IC2 workshop/factory. I made a foundation of cobblestone for the building and made my first generator and battery box of the playthrough. After that, I built the walls and ceiling of the factory out of chiseled cobblestone and created a cobblestone box, which is pretty neat. Then I added windows to it and my house, and I must say, my compound is starting to look like an actual base. But then I realized something. I need to make immersive engineering stuff because it's cool. And in order to do this, I need to use the creosote from my coke oven, which I usually do not use, to treat some wood. So I did. And now I've treated wood to my name. This is also how you unlock an easier way to make chests, which I appreciate. But then I realized something. I need a better way of getting plates and stuff, so I quickly ran to get the metal former in order to do so. And after placing down my metal former, I came to the conclusion that I must move everything to this factory because I will do a lot of crafting here. So I made an extension, placed a few chests, and worked on completing it. After I completed it, I moved in and did some much needed organization. With the ability to make plates at a 1-to-1 ratio, I decided it was time to create the kinetic dynamo from immersive engineering and use it to get my first bit of passive RF energy by attaching a windmill to it. After this, I decided to work on getting more IC machines because I cannot focus on one single mod for the life of me. This started by me putting half a stack of iron into the smeltery in order to make large plates in order to make more machine casing. After I'd made that machine casing, I crafted my first macerator for ore doubling. Then I made an extractor for better rubber recipe, and I turned on all 3 of the machines, and the generators handled it surprisingly well. So then I added a compressor to my machine lineup. After that, I created a redstone furnace which smelted like 10 billion times faster than a regular furnace, and this new factory allowed for better ore processing for my large back catalog of ores, which I did off camera. And with that finished, I would just like to say goodbye and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. I need subscribers. Bye!